Welcome back to the Intercourse Show. In this segment, we are talking sports. And what's been happening lately? Well, the NFL Pro Bowl was aired last night, and it's been a little controversial because one of the rising young stars, well, I guess you could say not so much by NFL standards, Shador Sanders was picked after only playing like maybe 3 or 4 games to be a part of the NFL Pro Bowl. Now, typically, the NFL Pro Bowl are for the pros who are quite impressive throughout the course of the year. And you see for the first time this year a shift in thinking where a lot of people say Shador Sanders was not selected because of merit or because of his performance. They say he was selected because the NFL is trying to tap into his social media appeal. Now, for those who don't know the backstory with Shador Sanders, he was the starting quarterback for the Colorado Buffaloes. He's the son of Deion Sanders. He was the quarterback that was throwing a lot of passes to Travis Hunter, who ended up being picked number one in the NFL draft this past year. Travis Hunter's team went pretty far into the playoffs, but unfortunately, not Shador Sanders' team, the Browns, who selected him in the 5th round, did not. And Shador really was maybe 4th on the depth chart, and he only got playing time because the other 3 or so quarterbacks ahead of him either got hurt or got traded. Joe Flacco was the starting guy. Then they traded him over to the Bengals. Then they started another kid above Shador. And then towards the end, Shador got to play a couple games. Now, even in playing a couple games, there was one game where he shined, and then the other 2 games, I think some would say he was mediocre at best. But somehow, someway, he still made the Pro Bowl, and it's caused a lot of controversy. So yesterday, the Pro Bowl was aired online and on national television, and fans are reacting to it. So as a result of that, what we want to do is go ahead and react to what the fans are saying about their thoughts on the Pro Bowl. So without any further ado, let's jump right into that.
Edmonds, what a shot for Ronnie Lott. And Spielman recovers now. Darrell Green has it. And they'll rule it down. Holy cow, do you believe that? Ladies and gentlemen, the clip that you just saw, that was not the 1991 NFC Championship game. That was not the wild card round of the playoffs or a pivotal game in the final weeks of the regular season. Hell, it wasn't even a lower profile regular season game in the middle of October. That clip you just saw, where the legendary Ronnie Lott damn near decapitated Pharrell Edmunds. Ronnie Lott hit this dude so hard, Pharrell Edmunds never played in this exhibition game again, because the clip you just saw, it was from the 1991 Pro Bowl, the final Pro Bowl of Pharrell Edmunds' career for obvious reasons. I don't know about you guys, but if my ass was getting brutally introduced to the dirt in a meaningless football game, I wouldn't want to be a Pro Bowler either. But did you notice the intensity? And not just the intensity with the players on the field. Did you notice the intensity of the crowd? The crowd in Aloha Stadium was fully invested in that game. There were 50,345 people at the Pro Bowl in 1991. Now, I'm assuming 345 people were standing because Aloha Stadium only holds 50,000, which means the Pro Bowl, a game that means nothing, drew a crowd that was standing room only. Why? Because back then,
NFL players treated the game like it actually mattered. It used to be an honor to make the Pro Bowl. For players, it was a free trip to Hawaii for their family. For fans, it was a reason, it was an excuse to visit Hawaii. For decades, the league treated the Pro Bowl like it actually meant something. Now, did the score, did the result of the game really matter? Not really. Did Jim Kelly care about his stats that day? Probably not, which I'm sure is hard for pretend NFL analyst Mina Kimes to believe and understand. How dare you say stats don't matter? Analyzing meaningless statistics is how I became a huge pretender. Even though the outcome, the result of the game didn't count, even though no one remembers who won the 1991 Pro Bowl, at the time, in that specific moment, the game meant something because NFL players treated the Pro Bowl like it meant something. And since the players bought in, since the players were committed, the fans were committed. You see how that works? That's how it works with all-star games. Hell, that's how it works with any game. For years, NBA struggled to draw ratings in the regular season because NBA players were treating the regular season like it didn't matter. If the players don't care about the regular season, why in the hell should I? Unfortunately, we no longer see classic memorable moments like I just showed you from the 1991 Pro Bowl. In recent years, the Pro Bowl has become an embarrassment. It is, without a doubt, the worst all-star game in sports. Well, Uncle KC, the Pro Bowl is worse than the WNBA all-star game? I said the Pro Bowl is the worst all-star game in sports. Last I checked, pretend basketball was not a legitimate athletic event. Seriously, though, the Pro Bowl is an embarrassment every year to the NFL. And if you didn't believe me, if you thought Uncle KC was just being hyperbolic, the NFL proved my point last night with the toxic turd they presented on ESPN. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the second channel is in the description below. We've got a good one today on the second channel. Once again, television ratings for pretend basketball have mysteriously vanished. It's the strangest thing. Later this afternoon, we'll be talking about ratings for the Grammy Awards, which were released 48 hours after the live broadcast. NFL ratings, readily available. NBA ratings, easy to find. But when it comes to the secondary dump known as Unrivaled, like their colleagues in the WNBA, ratings for Unrivaled just suddenly disappear. So if you haven't already, click the link in the description below, subscribe to the second channel. Let me ask you something. How many of you guys knew that the Pro Bowl was last night? Traditionally, the Pro Bowl has always been played the Sunday before the Super Bowl, but in his unquenchable desire to have NFL games on television every night of the damn week, Roger Goodell, hey, it's me, Roger G. Uncle Roger has decided to move the Pro Bowl from Sunday afternoon to Tuesday night.
Okay, I got to weigh in on this. I did not know the game was on last night. To be honest, I missed the game. And I would have logged in if had I known it was going to be on last night. So I don't think they did a great job promoting that the night of the game. Typically, the Pro Bowl happens on the off week of the Super Bowl. So whenever the two teams are selected for the Super Bowl, there's normally a 2-week preparation. So the week prior to the Super Bowl, which is airing this Sunday, So last Sunday, the game should have aired. But for whatever reason, it didn't air on Sunday. It was nothing on television that would have competed with it, which is typically around the time that the Pro Bowl gets aired. But for whatever reason, it was not aired on Sunday. It was actually aired on Tuesday, which is why I had no idea. And apparently the viewership didn't seem to have gotten, I guess, as much support as the NFL would have liked. But this is a fan who obviously tracks this stuff a lot, and he doesn't seem too pleased with how it played out.
To make it even more embarrassing, to make this meaningless exhibition seem even more meaningless, the Pro Bowl is no longer being played in a stadium. The new and improved Pro Bowl games, which makes it sound like the damn Olympics. The new and improved Pro Bowl games, it was played in a convention center in the city of Rainbows in San Francisco. A convention center? I thought convention centers were used for conventions. You know, business conventions, medical conventions, Star Trek conventions, Mardi Gras balls. If a convention center is used for a semi-athletic event, it's usually used for a WNBA game. That way, the dump can give the illusion that the game is sold out. Check out some of these highlights from what the NFL is describing as a magnificent event. As you can see, Deion's baby boy was finally able to complete a simple pass. Dak Prescott made the play of the year with a laser to Amon-Ra St. Brown. But for me personally, my favorite play from the night came from Micah Parsons. He mesmerized the crowd with his amazing ability to hold his cell phone while driving a scooter at the same time. I'm surprised that Micah Parsons wasn't pulled over by the police. As you guys know, texting and driving can be very dangerous. The Pro Bowl was played in a warehouse. Just think about that for a second. The NFL, a multi-billion-dollar organization. The NFL, the most powerful sports league in the country, and they're playing their all-star game in a warehouse? You know, I didn't think it could get any more embarrassing than the annual turd known as the NBA All-Star Game, but the Pro Bowl has taken the drizzling shits and turned it into the toxic runs. This should have never been allowed to happen.
My man's going in. He's definitely going in. Apparently, from what we're seeing, a lot of fans or diehard fans were not pleased by the Pro Bowl itself. I mean, this man's airing his frustrations, and you could tell he's dead serious about how he feels. Like he doesn't feel like this was a good representation of the NFL, and that maybe they made a blunder by the way that they chose to conduct it. Now, I don't know, why would they host it in a warehouse or not a stadium or anything like that? Or why wouldn't they promote it more? I don't know, but it seems like they were trying to cut corners with this one.
Last night was a disgrace to the game of football. But KC, this was never meant to be taken seriously. The Pro Bowl is supposed to be fun. Fun? Who in the hell was having fun last night? The only person I saw having fun was Jalen Hurts, who was taking doofus selfies on the sidelines with lonely men in the middle of the game. If players aren't going to take it seriously, if players don't want to be there, then why in the hell are we continuing this misery? Just cancel the Pro Bowl. Put an end to it. I know the NFL doesn't have a problem putting an end to things. They announced yesterday that they were putting an end to ice.
What's so interesting about this particular topic is that this was a similar reaction that people had to the NBA playoffs. I don't know if you guys remember this, but earlier this year when the NBA All-Star game was done, this was a very, very, very lukewarm, or the dunk contest as well. There was a lukewarm reaction to the NBA All-Star game because people were bored. There was a lot of like added theatrics to the game, and people really weren't tuning in the way that you would expect for them to. So it just led to people kind of airing out their frustration with how things were done. Now, I do want to transition a little bit to another video, which is how NFL players reacted to Shedeur Sanders being added to the Pro Bowl out of only playing a couple of games. Now, don't get me wrong, I like Shedeur. I like the family. I like Deion. I'm a huge Deion Sanders fan. I like what he represents as a father. I think he's a good person. I like the fact that he coached his sons and he's the biggest supporter. I think that's a great example for all fathers out there, irrespective of race or color or whatever the case. He demonstrates that. So I'm low-key kind of rooting for Deion and his whole family. I want to see those kids succeed. But I do accept the criticism that there's not enough credible performance from Shedeur to merit a selection into the Pro Bowl. I think it becomes very theatrical when that does happen because it says that it's no longer on merit. Now, there is a clip of NFL players reacting to the selection, so let's jump into that.
Genuinely make you pause, take a step back, and wonder if the entire sport has collectively lost its mind. Moments that make you question everything you thought.
0% of Shedeur Sanders' season qualifies him as a Pro Bowl player. Why is a player with those kind of numbers even being considered for the Pro Bowl?
On January 26, 2026, the NFL crossed a line it can't uncross. Shedeur Sanders, a rookie quarterback with losing numbers, more interceptions than touchdowns, and barely half a season of work, was named a Pro Bowler. And what followed exposed exactly how broken the honor has become, with NFL players giving their wild reactions on the controversy. The controversial selection that shook the NFL. There are moments in the world of professional football that genuinely make you pause, take a step back, and wonder if the entire sport has collectively lost its mind. Moments that make you question everything you thought you knew about merit, achievement, and the sacred traditions that have defined excellence in the National Football League for generations upon generations. And ladies and gentlemen, what we witnessed on January 26, 2026 was precisely one of those earth-shattering, paradigm-shifting moments that will undoubtedly go down in the annals of NFL history as one of the most bewildering decisions ever made by the league. Shedeur Sanders, the rookie quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, was added to the 2026 Pro Bowl roster as a replacement for New England Patriots quarterback Drake May, who advanced to Super Bowl LX after defeating the Denver Broncos in the AFC Championship game. Now, before we dive deep into the absolute tsunami of reactions that followed this announcement, let us take a moment to fully appreciate and understand just how statistically underwhelming Shedeur Sanders' rookie season truly was. Sanders, a fifth-round draft pick, the first such rookie to make the Pro Bowl since Puka Nacua, becomes the first Browns QB to earn a Pro Bowl nod since Derek Anderson in 2008. But here's where the numbers get absolutely fascinating. And by fascinating, I mean downright disturbing for anyone who believes that the Pro Bowl should represent the pinnacle of individual achievement in professional football. Sanders' rookie stats included 1,400 passing yards, 7 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, a 56% completion rate, and a 3-4 record in his starts. Let those numbers sink in for just a moment. More interceptions than touchdowns, a completion percentage that would have been considered mediocre back in the 1970s, and a losing record as a starter. But perhaps no one articulated the absurdity of this situation, quite like veteran sports broadcaster Trey Wingo, who absolutely dismantled the selection in a passionate and meticulously researched breakdown.
It's not Shedeur Sanders, the son of primetime Deion Sanders, one of the greatest players in the history of the NFL. It's not Shedeur Sanders, the guy who Mel Kiper and others were on the bandwagon for so hard in the draft, and he still fell to the 5th round. These are just the numbers of the player that just was elected to the Pro Bowl. His QBR out of 100, was 18.9.
That's right, folks. An 18.9 QBR out of 100. To put that into perspective, only Josh Dobbs posted a worse EPA per dropback among players with at least one pass attempt in 2025. And yet, somehow, someway, Shedeur Sanders is now officially a Pro Bowl quarterback. The immediate backlash was nothing short of volcanic. Within minutes of the announcement hitting social media, fans and analysts flooded platforms with outrage, calling for the Pro Bowl's abolition. But the criticism didn't just come from anonymous Twitter accounts and disgruntled fans. No, this controversy reached into the very heart of NFL royalty itself. Former San Diego Chargers linebacker Sean Merriman, a three-time Pro Bowler known as Lights Out for his hard-hitting style, posted on X, "I have a Pro Bowl helmet that I walk by almost every day. It's signed by some of the best players in the history of the NFL. Legends, HOFers, and real goats. The Pro Bowl used to be a badge of honor and respected. Things have changed." The post quickly went viral. Many interpreted it as a direct critique of Sanders' selection, given the timing and Sanders' subpar stats, with headlines framing it as Merriman trashing or going off on Sanders. Jim Rome, never one to mince words, took to his show with what can only be described as masterful sarcasm dripping from every syllable.
Personally, I think this is a great choice. In fact, if you want to be appalled or furious or insulted by anything, it's not that Shedeur was added to the roster as a replacement. It's that he wasn't named a starter in the first place. I mean, come on. Tell me one QB in the AFC more deserving of starting the Pro Bowl or whatever that debacle is now. Tell me one QB in the AFC more deserving than Shedeur Sanders.
The satire was razor sharp, the criticism unmistakable. Rome wasn't celebrating the selection. He was highlighting just how preposterous the entire situation had become. But perhaps the most damning indictment came from the cold, hard statistics that paint an undeniable picture of mediocrity dressed up in Pro Bowl clothing. Trevor Lawrence, who was reportedly one of the top alternates, had a far superior season. 4,007 yards, 38 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 91.0 passer rating, and a 13-4 record. Lawrence declined the invitation, as did numerous other quarterbacks who actually posted numbers worthy of all-star recognition. And this is where the conversation shifts from simple disappointment to something far more troubling, the erosion of everything the Pro Bowl once represented.
What are we going to do with the NFL All-Star Game? It has had a precipitous decline in terms of players willing to participate, especially if you've just lost the AFC or NFC championship game. And they're trying to figure something out. And I give the commissioner, Roger, a lot of credit because he realized the game, even though it drew huge numbers, the actual game wasn't working anymore.
New Orleans Saints defensive end Cameron Jordan, an 8-time Pro Bowler himself, replied directly to Merriman's post, adding a resigned, almost weary perspective. "Lol, nah, it's always been like this, at least the last 7-8 years. Mitch Trubisky, Tyler Huntley, now Shedeur LL QBs and Pro Bowls for some reason. Don't truly add up." The comparison to Tyler Huntley's 2022 selection is particularly telling. Huntley made the Pro Bowl as a backup with minimal starts, and now Sanders has joined that dubious fraternity of quarterbacks whose Pro Bowl selections raise more questions than celebrations. Rich Eisen, the respected NFL Network host and anchor, couldn't hide his amazement when the news broke live on his show.
So, who's just been named as a replacement for Drake May? Shedeur Sanders.
Oh, yeah.
Has just been named as a Pro Bowl replacement. So, all the haters coming out. And I get it. You don't look at that. Listen,
this should not count as making the Pro Bowl.
I know. I get it. Yeah, his numbers are not Pro Bowl worthy. He didn't play a full season. I understand it.
Eisen acknowledged that Sanders' stats did not warrant the honor on paper, noting his low touchdown to interception ratio, 7-10, incomplete season, and overall lack of impact in games. He speculated that the choice might stem from Sanders' high profile, boosted by his college stardom at Colorado under his father Deion Sanders, and the NFL's desire to draw eyeballs to the Pro Bowl, which has seen declining viewership. ESPN analyst Marcus Spears described the decision as crazy as hell, but ultimately a marketing move. stating, adding Brown Shadur Sanders to Pro Bowl is about marketing. I get it. And therein lies the crux of this entire controversy. The Pro Bowl, which once represented the absolute pinnacle of individual achievement in professional football, has devolved into something unrecognizable, a marketing vehicle, a ratings grab, a spectacle designed to generate clicks and controversy rather than celebrate genuine excellence. One Reddit thread highlighted the irony that the 5-12 Browns now have more Pro Bowlers than the 14-3 Super Bowl-bound Patriots. Let that sink in. A team that won barely a third of its games has more Pro Bowl representation than a team playing for the championship. Analyst John Root ripped the league. Pro Bowl is dead. What a joke. The question that now hangs over the entire NFL landscape is simple yet profound. What does it even mean to be a Pro Bowler anymore? But before this turns into a full-blown public execution, we need to slow down, because not everyone sees this as a disgrace. Some see it as harmless, some even see it as deserved, and that's where the conversation gets complicated. The defense and the deeper issues. Now, before we proceed any further down this rabbit hole of controversy and criticism, it would be intellectually dishonest of me not to acknowledge that Shadur Sanders does have his defenders, his supporters, and those who view this Pro Bowl selection through an entirely different lens than the critics we've heard from thus far. Shannon Sharpe, the Pro Football Hall of Fame, tight end who won 3 Super Bowls and earned 8 Pro Bowl selections himself, took to his Nightcap podcast with co-host Chad Ochochinco Johnson to offer a passionate defense of the young quarterback.
So no matter what you think, Shadur Sanders, whether he makes another one or not, when it's all said and done, he'll be a one-time Pro Bowl player. So how he got there is unimportant. Nobody's going to remember 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20, 30 years from now that he was an alternate and got selected to the Pro Bowl.
Sharpe's argument carries a certain weight, coming as it does from a man who understands the significance of Pro Bowl selections perhaps better than most. His point is technically accurate. History books don't typically include asterisks next to Pro Bowl appearances noting whether a player was an original selection or an alternate. But here's where Sharpe's defense begins to unravel under closer scrutiny. The very fact that we need to have this conversation, the very fact that we need to rationalize and justify how someone got to the Pro Bowl rather than celebrating the achievement itself, speaks volumes about how far the honor has fallen.
The Pro Bowl does not have the same recognition that it once did. It used to mean something.
AI can now build a website in 90 seconds, while the only AI most people over 40 know is ChatGPT.
To go to the Pro Bowl.
Who you telling?
It used to mean something. And when you look at that ball and you see all those names, you saw the Elways and the Marinos and the Tom Brady's and the Peyton Mannings.
Even in their defense of Sanders, Sharpe and Johnson couldn't help but acknowledge the fundamental truth that underlies this entire controversy. The Pro Bowl simply isn't what it used to be. Matt Barnes and Keyshawn Johnson from All the Smoke offered a more casual, positive reaction, calling the selection a good gesture and noting Sanders' marketability. He sells tickets and brings joy to fans. This perspective frames the Pro Bowl not as an achievement to be earned, but as an entertainment product to be sold, a transformation that many longtime fans find deeply troubling. But perhaps the most revealing aspect of this entire situation isn't the defense or the criticism. It's the pattern of behavior and attitude that has followed Shadur Sanders throughout his football career, a pattern that many believe contributed directly to his dramatic draft slide and now colors how his Pro Bowl selection is being perceived. Throughout his college tenure at Jackson State in Colorado, Sanders faced persistent scrutiny for what critics described as cockiness, arrogance, entitlement, and a prioritization of personal branding over team-oriented humility. These perceptions were amplified by his high-profile family background, flashy demeanor, and lucrative name, image, and likeness deals, which reportedly exceeded $1 million early in his career and ballooned to around $6 million by his final season. At the NFL Scouting Combine in February 2025, an anonymous longtime NFL assistant coach described one of Sanders' interview sessions as the worst formal interview I've ever been in my life, calling Sanders entitled, criticizing his body language, and accusing him of blaming teammates while taking unnecessary sacks.
It was, you look at the protection that Dylan Raiola had compared to mine. That pick six, he had really damn good protection when he was in the end zone. It was really good protection that Colorado gave him.
This clip from Sanders' post-game press conference following Colorado's loss to Nebraska perfectly encapsulates the attitude that has drawn criticism throughout his career. Rather than accepting responsibility, rather than shouldering the burden that great quarterbacks are expected to carry, Sanders immediately deflected blame onto his offensive line. Sports columnist Mike Farrell noted that in about 15 seconds, Shedeur managed to crush his offensive line's ability to both pass, protect, and run block, emphasizing that while the criticism might be factually accurate, it was poor leadership from a veteran quarterback.
What was one of his main criticisms last year of Shedeur Sanders? Was the sack numbers, and he was taking so many sacks because he didn't want his stats to look bad.
The pattern extends beyond just press conferences. Sanders' tendency to hold the ball too long, leading to sacks. He was sacked 52 times in 2024 at Colorado. Poor timing in plays and negative body language toward teammates were all cited by scouts as concerns. His flashy persona, flexing a diamond-studded watch during games and promoting his two legendary clothing line, was seen by some as immature or distracting. Projected as a top 5 pick in early 2024 mocks, Sanders slid dramatically to the 5th round, where the Cleveland Browns selected him. This wasn't just a minor slide, it was a plummet of historic proportions, one that many attributed directly to the attitude concerns that had followed him throughout his college career. New York Giants offensive tackle Jermaine Elwemunor called the Pro Bowl a joke after the Sanders selection, pointing out that his teammate Andrew Thomas, an elite left tackle, has never been selected despite superior play. He argued fan voting and name recognition undermine merit. If you're popular, you get in. This criticism from an active NFL player carries particular weight. Elwemunor isn't a media personality looking for clicks or a former player reminiscing about the good old days. He's someone currently competing at the highest level who has witnessed firsthand how players who genuinely deserve recognition are being overlooked in favor of those with bigger names and larger social media followings. Even Ken Carman of 92.3, the fan in Cleveland, expressed frustration, calling the selection totally unfair to Sanders himself because it places him in an undeserved spotlight, noting he couldn't decline the invitation without risking NFL relations. This perspective offers an interesting twist. The idea that the selection might actually be a disservice to Sanders, setting him up for inevitable comparisons to quarterbacks who actually posted Pro Bowl-worthy numbers. The nepotism accusations have also resurfaced with renewed vigor. When Colorado retired Shedeur's number 2 jersey, a move criticized as premature given his middling team record and lack of major bowl wins or championships, comedian Shane Gillis mocked this at the 2025 ESPYS, saying, Shedeur Sanders had his jersey number retired at Colorado this year, and people are saying it's because of nepotism, because of his father, and it's not. It's because he went 13-12 over his career, and he almost won the Alamo Bowl. Definitely not nepotism, right? The audience reaction was mixed, but the underlying sentiment was clear. There's a growing perception that Shedeur Sanders has benefited from opportunities and honors that his on-field performance alone would never have earned him. And then there's the matter of the speeding tickets. In June 2025, Sanders was involved in 2 speeding incidents in Ohio. The second incident involved speeds of 101 miles in a 60-mile zone, qualifying as reckless operation under Ohio law. This came just hours after he missed a court date for his first speeding citation. These incidents, while not directly related to his football abilities, added to the narrative of a young player who perhaps doesn't fully grasp the responsibilities that come with being a professional athlete and a public figure.
0% of Shedeur Sanders' season qualifies him as a Pro Bowl player. The question now becomes, why is a player with those kind of numbers even being considered for the Pro Bowl? And the issue is because a lot of the people who have earned the right to be there by their stats and the way they played and the things they did for their team have decided to not participate.
Trey Wingo's assessment cuts right to the heart of the matter. This isn't about hating Shedeur Sanders as a person. This isn't about denying his potential or wishing him ill. This is about confronting the uncomfortable reality that the Pro Bowl, once the ultimate individual honor in professional football, has become something almost unrecognizable from what it used to be. And that's the problem. The moment you stop debating performance and start debating justifications, the honor itself is already in trouble. Because this isn't just about one Pro Bowl nod. It's about the trail that led here. The death of merit and what comes next. It's worth stepping back to examine not just what the Shedeur Sanders Pro Bowl selection means in isolation, but what it represents for the broader landscape of professional football and the values we once held sacred in this sport. Skip Bayless, never one to shy away from controversy, offered what might be the most honest assessment of the situation, one that simultaneously defends the selection while acknowledging everything that's wrong with it. Bayless stated, on draw, he's a Pro Bowler, on interest generated, on magnetism, on eyeballs. People watch Shedeur Sanders. He described the Pro Bowl as a dying breed and suggested Sanders was selected to save the game amid dropping interest.
And now this is their Hail Mary. The league going full troll, full hot take factory, and putting Shedeur on the team for absolutely no reason other than to get people to lose their minds, both ways and get people to actually care about this game. But people with actual brains don't and never will.
Jim Rome's assessment is brutal in its clarity. The NFL has essentially abandoned any pretense that the Pro Bowl is about celebrating the best players in the game. It has become a content generator, a conversation starter, a vehicle for driving engagement through controversy rather than excellence. The Pro Bowl selection process, which involves fan voting, player votes, and coaching input, has long been criticized for leading to alternates being added late due to injuries, Super Bowl commitments, or opt-outs. The Sanders case amplifies these concerns to an unprecedented degree. Consider this: Sanders ranked 10th in Pro Bowl fan voting among quarterbacks despite his underwhelming stats, largely due to his high-profile family background and social media presence. He accumulated more votes than players who had objectively superior seasons simply because of who his father is and the attention that follows the Sanders name wherever it goes.
You sell it by putting someone like Shedeur Sanders in, because the NFL knows that he will bring eyeballs. He will bring clicks. He will bring takes for days. This is not a take. This is a simple analysis of the situation based on the data.
The implications of this shift are profound and far-reaching. If the Pro Bowl is no longer about rewarding the best performances, then what becomes of the players who actually deserve recognition? What happens to the offensive linemen who dominate their opponents week after week, but lack the social media following to generate votes? What happens to the defensive tackles who stuff the run and collapse pockets, but don't have famous fathers to ensure their names stay in the conversation? Emmanuel Acho on the Speakeasy Show describes Sanders as the poster child for the Pro Bowl's issues, emphasizing it's not Sanders' fault, but a systemic problem. This is a crucial point that deserves emphasis. Shedeur Sanders didn't select himself to the Pro Bowl. He didn't stuff the ballot boxes or bribe the selection committee. He simply said yes when the NFL came calling, as virtually anyone would in his position. But the fact that we even need to have this conversation, the fact that we need to debate whether a quarterback with more interceptions than touchdowns belongs in the same conversation as Josh Allen and Justin Herbert, tells us everything we need to know about where the Pro Bowl stands today. The allegations that have swirled around Sanders' journey only add another layer of complexity to this already convoluted narrative. Pro Football Hall of Fame running back Eric Dickerson claimed he heard from a very good source that the NFL had instructed teams not to draft Sanders early or at all to make an example out of him. Whether these claims have any merit or not, they've become part of the mythology surrounding Sanders, adding fuel to the fire for both his supporters and detractors. A Colorado Buffaloes fan even filed a $100 million lawsuit against the NFL, claiming the league's alleged actions caused him severe emotional distress and trauma. The lawsuit, while almost certainly destined for dismissal, speaks to the passionate divide that Sanders inspires, a divide that the NFL seems more than happy to exploit for ratings and engagement.
Take the long view. The long view in Shedeur Sanders right now is that we saw some stuff that was really good. We also saw some stuff that was really bad. And for any progress to be made this offseason, the most important thing for Shedeur to do is work on the stuff that he can do better and try and minimize those mistakes.
Trey Wingo's measured advice cuts through the noise to offer something genuinely constructive. Sanders has potential. Few would dispute that. His college career at Colorado showed flashes of genuine talent, and even his rocky rookie season had moments that suggested a higher ceiling than his statistics might indicate. But potential is an achievement. Flashes aren't consistency, and a Pro Bowl selection should represent more than the hope that a player might someday become worthy of such recognition. Merriman clarified in follow-up replies that his comments were not aimed at Sanders personally, writing, "When did this come about Shedeur? It's not his fault. He wasn't standing on the corner of the NFL building lobbying for the Pro Bowl, but there has to be a better system in place for guys to make it." This is perhaps the most important takeaway from this entire controversy. The problem isn't Shedeur Sanders. The problem is the system that has lost its way, a selection process that values engagement over excellence, and a league that seems content to watch one of its most prestigious honors diminish in meaning with each passing year.
It's a huge honor. And like I said, 25, 30 years from now, everybody won't nobody remember that he was an alternate. They'll look like, man, Shedeur made the Pro Bowl.
Shannon Sharp's words hang in the air with uncomfortable weight. Yes, history may forget the context. Yes, future generations may look at Sanders' career statistics and see Pro Bowl quarterback without knowing how that designation came to be. But those of us watching in real time, Those of us who remember what the Pro Bowl once meant and represented will carry this memory with us. We'll remember the year that a quarterback with a 56% completion rate and a losing record was deemed worthy of standing alongside legitimate stars. We'll remember the year that marketing triumphed over merit, that clicks mattered more than completions, that engagement eclipsed excellence. Deion Sanders, Shadour's father and Colorado coach, reacted positively on social media, posting, "God is so darn good. That's why we praise God when we win or lose, because he's worthy to be praised at all times." And perhaps that's the most fitting conclusion to this entire saga, a celebration from the Sanders family amid what many perceive as the death knell for meaningful Pro Bowl recognition. The Pro Bowl isn't dead yet, but it's certainly on life support. And unless the NFL makes serious changes to how players are selected, unless they find a way to restore merit to an honor that has become almost meaningless, the Sanders selection won't be remembered as an anomaly. It will be remembered as the moment we all finally admitted what had been obvious for years. The Pro Bowl, as we once knew it, is gone. What remains is something else entirely, a marketing vehicle, a conversation starter, a controversy generator. And Shedeur Sanders, for better or worse, has become the face of that transformation. If you enjoyed watching this video, click on one of the boxes playing on your screen to watch more similar content.
0%.
Okay. There you have it. I thought it was important to bring proper context to my comments about the NFL's choice to select Shedeur Sanders for the Pro Bowl. Now, to answer the question, did an NFL Pro Bowl lose its appeal to fans? I think this would be one of the examples of what people would say, yes, it did lose its appeal. And this really brings into question Donald Trump's whole DEI critiques, right? Here's a situation where we are now making selections not based on performance, but based on someone's personal attributes. The fact that this guy is the son of a great NFL Hall of Fame player, Deion Sanders. We're making selections based on someone's appeal to social media, his influence, his star power, but not based on actual performance. And now when people become critical of a particular athlete or critical of the whole DEI program itself, saying that you're only getting certain recognition, certain selection based on the fact that you are, a black athlete who's the son of a Hall of Fame player, and who, get a lot of clicks online on social media, we're going to use those things to put you in a position you didn't earn. Now you give credence to the argument that DEI selection is not good, right? That's some of the arguments that be made in the affirmative action things, right? They're saying, well, Harvard is going to accept a certain number of people, not because their test scores was better than others, not necessarily because, they have somehow been elite students within their program, but just because we have a certain quota to meet and we're going to have to take, some spots that would traditionally be offered to students who are better qualified and give it to this group here because they fit a particular box. They're part of this minority box. It's hard to argue that that's a fair critique. The whole DEI selection and why there's a big push to move that out. This is a perfect example in sports that highlights that exact point. And this is what would turn a lot of fans and a lot of people off, because they're saying you're no longer making it about my performance or my, deserving output. You're making it about things that should not matter. Who's nepotism, the fact that I'm the son of a famous person, or you're making it about the fact that this got a social media appeal. You're not making it about merit. And now people, obviously, who don't want to deal with that get turned off because they say this is like another DEI thing. So we're going to not pay attention. That's sort of what's at risk here. And I would say that's really what speaks to my analysis, right? It's the fact that in a way you diminish the game and you turn people off and you lose viewers because they feel it's no longer about football. It's about all these other things, right? Like when Travis Kelce was dating, what's her name? What's the girl's name? The popular girl. The name's not coming to me. Taylor Swift, I want to say. And the Swifties, the NFL, after they won a couple championships, were panning from the games over to the box, so that we can see Travis' girlfriend, and they can pull in the Swiftie audience, attract a new audience. And for a lot of people who are diehard football people, it's a turnoff, man. I don't really want to see Taylor Swift when I'm watching a football game. I could care less that she's dating one of the guys. Really, I just want to see the game. And if we're spending minutes and segments and you're hearing the commentators talk about something that has nothing to do with the game, but the relationship, who this guy is dating, it's a turnoff. So then you start to see, oh, there goes the whole DEI thing. Like, we're making this about something that it's never meant to be about, right? So it just turns off the diehard fans. And I think in the long run, this was not a good look for the NFL. I don't think they should have done it. Now, you know, I like Shedeur and I like Deion and I like the family. I don't think this is a good look for them because he didn't earn that position. He was selected really for other reasons, but not because he earned it. So now to the football players in the locker room, they're not gonna like this dude even more because they're like, yo, this is some other stuff. This ain't no sports. Like, what are we talking about? This guy didn't earn a selection to the Pro Bowl. They're probably gonna hate him more, right? And if he's trying to win those guys over to really see him as one of them, I think it makes it harder for him. Because one thing I know about guys is that, you know, we don't want participation points. We want to earn our spot. We want to earn our keep. And I just don't know that this put him in the right position. But that being said, we welcome your feedback. What do you guys think? You know, was Shedeur being selected to the Pro Bowl the right move for the NFL? Did it actually have the intended effect that the NFL wanted it to have? I mean, we've gotten feedback from fans, and we also gave you guys the context behind the whole controversy, what was causing fans to question the selection of Shedeur Sanders to the Pro Bowl. You guys have kind of the context there, and I invite you to weigh in and to let your voice be heard. If you're not already a subscribed member of the Intercourse Show community, we ask that you join the community and let your voice be heard. Weigh in on this subject as well as others and let us know what you think. All right? That said, it's yours truly signing off.